We have been talking about DPO's roles, responsibilities, and today is the turn for Australian privacy laws. A very brief one specific to how DPOs are supposed to work within the Australian framework of privacy laws. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you have been watching daily new content on data privacy, and as said, today we are going to talk about the role of a DPO when it comes to the Australian privacy laws. So what are the various regulations in Australia? We'll just quickly touch a brief of it as to how regulations evolved for privacy in Australia. In 1988, they had formed the Privacy Act, which was primarily targeted at mostly at the government agencies as to how government agencies are going to handle the private data or the personal information, and some private agencies, not all the private companies in the entire Australia. However, in 2001, they amended it and included more private sectors to almost cover the entire private business also, with some limitations that we'll see in the next slide, which are applicable even till date. In 2014, they enacted APP, the Australian Privacy Principles. There are around 13 principles that govern how the entire system is going to work. And from those principles, we are going to talk about DPO, as we are currently talking about the DPO series. We are not getting into the details of the Australian law as such. In 2018, they further amended it and brought in the notifiable data breaches, which is that whenever there is a data breach, the respective organization is required to inform about the breach to the data subjects whose data is impacted, as well as to notify to the OAIC, which is Office of Australian Information Commissioner. Right? So these are two places where the breach is to be notified as per the APPs or the Australian Privacy Principles. So now, when is a DPO required when it comes to the APP in particular in Australia? So they don't define, they don't make it mandatory to have a DPO. All they suggest is that you should have some senior compliance officer to take care of the compliance, right? His role may get integrated with the other compliance managers, but there has to be someone who has to look into the compliance with respect to the personal information as well. And it's important to have a DPO for all the organizations as defined under the guidelines of the Australian Privacy Principles. What are those guidelines? With respect to DPO, all government agencies in Australia need to have a DPO because they are handling a lot of personal information. All organizations that have an annual turnover of 3 million Australian dollars need to have a DPO, and any organization, irrespective of whether the turnover is $3 million or not, but is handling healthcare data or is handling credit reporting, that is financial transactions, defaults and other credit reporting things, are also liable to have a DPO within the organization, right? So this is the criteria where and why you would have a DPO when it comes to the Australian laws. His position is independent and is reporting into senior management. He is definitely integrated with the other compliance managers. The role could be integrated in a sense that you don't need to have a dedicated DPO or a privacy office as such. Or maybe depending on the size of the organization, you may have a privacy office, but the DPO or the compliance manager could be handling more than privacy also, right? And of course, the standard things that you expect him for secrecy and no conflict of interest, the fact that he should have access to resources and his reporting should be to the highest possible management in the organization. Those are the key areas of his positioning within the organization. As far as his qualification is concerned, he should be having a background of law, information security or compliances. When we talk of information security, again, we did one airline case breach, where the firewalls were not patched properly. So information security knowledge is important. He should have experience in Australian law, and he should have skills in communications, risk management and policy implementation. And when we spoke a lot about the role of a DPO in general, communication skill we always thought was one of the most important skills. He has to get policies created and implemented from top management stakeholders to the rock bottom junior most person of the organization. So those skills are very, very important for him. His core responsibilities, like any other DPO, he should be available for helping in compliance monitoring. Is the organization doing all the processes correctly? He should understand the data processing processes, make changes, re-implement them, and see how they are being processed now. He should be in the advisory role for the stakeholders, both in terms of data protection as well as conducting the privacy assessments, PIAs and DPIAs for the organization, doing the risk management things, finding out where is the risk and how that risk can be taken care of. Data breach management is another very important thing for any DPO to handle. He has to notify back to the Officer of Australian Information Commissioner. So data breach management has to be handled very properly, and he has to inform it to the DSRs also. Privacy breach impacts your business reputation as well, so you need to be very careful with it. As I mentioned about his communication skills, again comes a topic called training and awareness. He has to conduct training for the entire organization. He has to ensure that apart from the training done, a lot of awareness is spread in the organization about how the data protection is being handled. So then, training and awareness and his communication skills become very important for the organization. And last but not the least, he has to liaison with the OAIC, or the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, whenever there is a breach, and for other regulatory filings, and confirming that the regulatory things are happening very well. That's what about the role of a DPO when it comes to the Australian privacy principles. I hope you like the content of this video. Please press like and bell icon. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends who might need more knowledge on data privacy, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.